Let me go ahead and make sure this is running smoothly. And then from there, we are good to go. But where are you guys plugging in from? I'm assuming most of you on this specific training will be more so from the US. So I'm excited. I'm excited to be here with everybody. All right. Got Jersey, Colorado, Chicago, got Phoenix, LA. Cool. All right, let's dive into the sauce. So oh, hold on. Almost. All right. Okay. Well, guys, thank you for being here. Friday night. I know for many of you, it might be already 8, 9 p.m., 6 o'clock for a lot of you. So it's Friday. This is one of the easiest days to kind of relax, decompress. And that's actually why I wanted to do this training on today, because I do want to make sure that we build some sort of consistency with showing up for ourselves on a daily basis. Now, I 100% believe in decompressing and allowing yourself to just calm down, to just process the week. But also there is such a massive culture of not just relaxing, but taking it way too far. You might do things well for a few days in a row, and then we have one moment that just completely destroys all the progress that you made in anything. And so I'm not here to give you guys any sort of training on habits or anything like that. But what I do want to talk about today is I want to talk about a difference between time and attention. And you guys probably saw that poll. And so today, right, I want to talk about one of the most misunderstood concepts that I know. And I guess two main concepts. One, people confuse time and money. And one of the things that eventually I heard that I resonated with was that time is the most valuable asset that we have. Time is the most resource, like one of the most valuable resources, period. But I heard a slightly alternate version of this that I like even better. And it goes a bit more like attention is the most valuable resource. So here's why, right? Time is something where, of course, you're never going to get back. That's like, we have to accept that fact. You will never get your time back. Because at some point, it's finite. We will all, and I know maybe, hopefully this isn't a surprise for anybody, but everyone on the Zoom call is going to die at some point. I know we don't like to talk about it, but it's the truth. And I honestly think there's a lot of clarity and there's a lot of direction in your own mortality and having a good relationship with that. When you can let go of that fear of death, I think it kind of lets you live a bit more. But knowing that you do have a finite amount of time on this planet, I think it allows us to really accept that and then start to establish what it is that I want in life. What is it? Who is it that I want to be? How do my actions represent me? What kind of plan am I making for that? And I heard this once, and it's kind of interesting. We get a job for the most part, right? We get a job, and then around that income that comes with that job, then we start to kind of build a life around that. And I feel like it would make so much more sense to decide, what kind of life do I have? Do I want? What's the ideal lifestyle for me that makes me genuinely fulfilled, genuinely success, just my own version of success based on a definition that you have created for it. And then from there, then we start to figure out, okay, this is how much maybe I need to make. This is the type of person I need to be. These are the kind of people I want to have around me. These are the things that I want to see. How do I create a life that allows me to live this life? Instead of, okay, well, let me get this, job or create this income and then kind of figure out, how do I budget or how do I do these things? I feel like the order in which we start is completely flipped. And one thing here is, let me know, guys, am I kind of blurry? Hold up. I think this is better. So let me know if you hear me properly, if y'all can see me. If y'all can see me, hear me, then we're good. All right, cool. I don't got Nance helping me out, so I'm slightly, I get a little out of focus here. All right, cool. So with that being said, what does that have to do with everything? Time is a very valuable resource, but let's say that you now have all the time in the world. What matters more? Having the time or you directing what happens with that time? So we got to go one step further. That's why attention is the most valuable resource out there. Where your focus goes, how your concentration goes, so how you exert your energy, where you direct that is more valuable than time itself. Because if you have all the time in the world, but you don't know how to create and direct your mind, your attention, then is it even that valuable? So sometimes we focus so much on getting time freedom, but our attention is still a slave to somebody or something else. Whether it's social media, whether it's video games, whether it's, you name it, you know what it is for you. And so being able to master our own attention, I think that has multiple powers to it, because then you can almost create systems so that your attention is going to where you genuinely want it to go, not where you're programmed to go. Who here ever, let's say you're doing something and all of a sudden you think, oh yeah, let me go, look for this, let me look for these notes on my phone. And then 11 minutes go by and you're scrolling on Instagram and you're like, wait, why did I pick up my phone again? Oh shit, like I was looking for my notes. Or let's say that you're looking for your calculator and then all of a sudden you ended up somewhere else. So like, does that ever happen to anybody? So it's about how good we are at optimizing and actually directing our attention, having power over our mind. And these things have to do with the subconscious mind and the conscious mind. If you're not familiar with this, the subconscious mind, it directs over 90% of what you actually do in your life. The subconscious mind is basically, it's like all the automated little programs in your brain that have been established for a million different reasons and a million different ways. So as we, take on more responsibility in our lives, as you want to, maybe, you have specific things that you want, you, more than anything, like you have to scale. And you have only a certain amount of attention. It's only a certain amount. So you have to decrease all the other things that are draining your attention. Could be people, could be activities, could be devices, could be vices. Because every now and then, they might just take away your attention little by little. Every now and then, little by little, that's what it's doing. So we have to change our character traits in order to evolve in our own lives, whether you have a business, whether you have skill sets and crafts that you're developing. The things that got you where you are right now, it's not going to get you there. It won't. Trust me, it won't. One of the hard pills to swallow is the moment where you're at that frustration point where maybe you've learned so much, but the results aren't there. And all it is that there's probably one or two things that you keep running into and that keep setting you right back over and over and over and over again. And there's only so much, right? There's only so much that we can do. And in order to grow and become better, right, we need the attention and the bandwidth to do so. So think about your environment, right? Think about your environment right now. Are there things, are there people that are taking your attention away from your priority? And there's no limits to this. There's no one that is, at least in my book, right? There's no one that can't be on this list. Everybody. No one's safe. Who's taking away from my priority? What is taking away from my priority? So one of the most common things that I've realized is, talking to for years, with different people on their journey to being great traders, to being leaders, building businesses. Everyone's focusing on what else do I need to do? What more do I need to do? And I believe that in order to grow, you need to do less of the wrong things. When you do less of the wrong things, only when that happens first, can you then do more. I think we suffer more for doing the wrong things than we gain doing more right things. And some of this, you might just have to delegate some things. You might just have to choose the right things to do now. There's a massive difference between urgency and importance. There are a lot of very important things that need to happen. But when you know how to differentiate the urgent and the important, what happens is you're able to knock certain things out that will then open up a lot of the right things that you need to do later. So becoming, a high-level leader, becoming an entrepreneur, it doesn't mean you have to go do more and conquer the world. It's just, again, doing less of the wrong things. Anyone can just grind their face off, and you're on your computer all day, and you're typing away, and you're just clicking everywhere, right? You're out there on the streets. Maybe you're just doing sales. Maybe you're whatever it is that you're doing, right? It doesn't mean it's same thing with trading, right? You can be on the charts for 8 hours straight. Does that mean you're going to make more money? You guys tell me. If you're on the charts for 8 hours in a day, does that mean that you're going to make more money if you're only on for 30 minutes? No. Definitely not. So there's a key example right there. Okay. So ignorance on fire maybe takes you from level 0 to level 3. But what's going to take you to level 10? Because the character traits that we focus on, it might not be the ones that we need to at this certain stage. Everything really follows a sequence. So the number one thing that you have to be paying attention to, and this is a key, I heard this and it blew my mind. The number one thing you have to be paying attention to is where you're paying attention. Now, why do we say the phrase paying attention? It's because you spend it. You spend attention. You only have so much attention and you spend it. That's why it's called paying attention, because it's a resource. Your attention is a finite resource that you have. Most people never even paid attention to that. Think about it. Only things that are resources can be paid for, can be paid with. So how do you manage your attention? How do you think? It really comes down to clarity. It comes down to clarity. And so before, tomorrow, Sunday, Monday, your week, before you go and absolutely, get to work and you're working on your side hustles, your main gig, you're just, you're doing your best in your life and you're just going all out and you're working with intensity. Okay. Well, before you can add intensity, before you can really put the fire into what you're doing, why are you doing what you're doing? So funny enough, pay attention to where your attention is. It's kind of a loophole, right? Or it's kind of just a loop. You're just kind of redirecting. That's why people talk about meditation so much. That's why this is such a good practice. And you don't have to meditate, sit, cross your legs, and close your eyes and listen to frequencies. That's one version. Meditation for you might be running, working out, it might be painting, it might be a million different things. But the key concept of meditation is really to be aware of your attention. Where does my mind travel to? Why is my mind traveling in so many different places? What is consuming what's in my mind? If there's something eating away at your thoughts, at your attention, what if we address that first? What if we come to a realization or an ultimatum where we think, this is something that once I address this, then I can move forward. Then I don't have to redirect. You don't have to keep switching tabs in your mind. Because that's one of the things that it costs us so much. You might not realize this, but when you're doing one thing and then you're doing another thing, and then you're doing another thing, it takes you a couple seconds, a couple minutes to get back into momentum, right? Get back into that flow state. One of the most powerful things for me is literally having one tab open. Do not disturb, one tab open, and just go. Because then you get to just work on one thing and you're in motion. Think about it. Think about it like this. If you have to travel 5 miles to get something, right? So you take two paths. One, it's a straight drive, 5 miles, straight drive. The other, it's still 5 miles, but you have to make 17 turns to get to there. So you're still actually going 5 miles, but you have to take 17 turns. In which option are you going to get there first? Option A, 5 miles, one straight line, or option B, 5 miles, but you have to make 17 turns. Which way are you going to get to your destination faster? Let me see. This is pretty self-explanatory, right? Option A, straight line. Exactly. So you guys get it. Depends if there's an ice cream shop in the way. That's true. That's facts. Depends on the traffic. Okay, perfect. You guys are actually bringing up good points. You literally are saying it. You're doing it. What if there's an ice cream shop in the way? What if there's traffic? Exactly. That's the point. You need to eliminate the traffic. How do you eliminate traffic? What are the options? You drive at different times, unless you guys are like in LA where it's just perpetual traffic, but you go at certain times. You know the more optimal route. You know when there's going to be less traffic in the way. You know what route to take. If you are a sucker for ice cream, like whoever it was in the chat, then guess what? Don't go down the path, that road where there's ice cream, when you don't want ice cream in your life. Long term. Short term, we always want ice cream. But if you don't want to be obese and you want to live longer, then maybe you don't get ice cream every time you go on this road. So my point is, you want to go down a path that requires you to refocus less. You want to go on a path where it's the most optimal way to stay, to just stay in motion. Because it takes time to go and refocus yourself and do all the things that maybe you're looking to do. So every day, pay attention to where your attention is. If you feel like you're almost not doing anything, but you're doing a lot and you're doing nothing at the same time, it's because you haven't taken control of your attention in that moment. or there's things that are running in the background. Have you guys noticed if you're on your phone or on your computer and you have tons of programs open, just processes, right? They're running in the background. Right now, there's a good amount of you right now. If you open your phone and you check, you don't even realize how many things are running in the background. I'm about to tell you. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I have about 25 different apps running in the background of my phone right now. 25 of them. I didn't even notice that. I had no idea. Zero. But what does that do to your phone, to your computer? It slows it down. Slows it down. Because something is in the background, slightly running. It might not be chirping at you. It's silent, but it's there. And since it's there, it's slowing down how you can process everything else. So what processes in the background of your mind, what thoughts can easily just be closed or eliminated so that you can just be right here. So when it comes to attention, if there's really important things that you need to do and you can't get distracted, okay, one of the easiest things you can do, or one of the most practical things you can do, is get up before everybody else. If you're distracted by a certain time every day, you know, no matter what, like there's going to be people in my ear, or I have to do, take care of a child. Okay. Then when do you have your silence to yourself? What's the most quiet that you have? That's when you can do the most important things you need to do. So you start to realize what's stealing your attention. You realize who and what needs to be eliminated, or you just have to come to an understanding. So there's a lot of little things that we can do like that. So past things can be on your mind that you haven't handled. Handle it, take care of it. These are open loops. The brain hates open loops. Close it, close the tab. So once you handle that, then you get it back. Now all of a sudden, let's say you had a message that you've been meaning to get back to. Go answer it. Okay, now you have one less app open. You have one less process running through the brain. So sometimes what happens is that there's reoccurring attention leeches or thieves. These are constantly doing this. So you might have to, guess what? You might have to mute notifications in certain chats. You might have to mute notifications on certain apps. You might have to mute a coworker in your life. You might have to mute a family member in your life. You might have to move out. You might have to break up with somebody. You might have to get a divorce. But this is the thing. I don't know, that's a strong word, right? Divorce. Like, woo, but the truth is, you know what's serving you and what isn't. And or what needs to be done in order for it to serve you. Again, we're not. But there are constant things. And you only have so much attention. Because here's how I look at things. There's the long term and then there's the short term. There are decisions that you make when there is nothing that's in your way. So for example, as a trader, you have a certain plan that you've established when there's nothing influencing your emotions at all. There's nothing influencing your feelings. You're like, all right, this is the ideal plan. This is it. And this is what gives me my ideal life eventually. And you make that decision. Perfect. Same thing. There's an ideal physique that you might want in your life. There's an ideal place you want to live. There's an ideal person that you might want to be with. And you make all of these decisions when you are completely just aware. You're present. There's nothing that's pulling away at you. You've made this big picture decision. Now, what happens? Once you're en route to those things, Then all of a sudden, emotions get introduced. The situation, the circumstance seems to be changing. And then we make decisions that are no longer in alignment with that big picture, because it's easier to choose a different option. And what starts to happen is you start sacrificing the big picture, the vision that you have for your life, for yourself, for other people, for your movement, for your freedom. What are those things? What are those things that tend to gotta take this detour? Do you? A lot of times it's just the detour seems easier, but then it adds another year, it adds another 5 years to what you actually want. So attention gives you the ability to see what really is important. Be aware, same thing, be aware of your access. Be aware of your access. Someone texts you, did you know it's okay to not respond to every message right away? It's okay. Not everyone's entitled to you immediately. And it's not against them. It's just like, you just got shit you got to do. Again, urgent, important. There's important people in my life that I don't get back to right away because it's just not urgent in the moment. And I want to maintain my focus. I have do not disturb. Do not disturb is like my best friend. Because there are things and people, very few, that it's like, no matter what, I do need to know your status. But if it's not you, then it's going to be okay. So these little things are perceived as, there's little things, right, that are perceived as a big issue, but only because you have a little attention. So think about it like this: when you have so little attention, because it's everywhere, there's so little attention left that everything seems like the biggest thing in the world. Some small thing happens and you just lose it. But it's because your attention is everywhere. So every little moment seems like it's just the biggest thing in the world. But when you have lots of capacity, you have a lot of bandwidth, the big problems seem small. And the little problems seem big. So when you have clarity, you know where attention should go. You've already directed, okay, these are the things in order that I need to take care of. Everything else, I'm going to get to it when I get to it. Then you ask yourself, will this help me get there? Yes or no. It takes discipline to say no. You have to learn how not to be who you've been. You have to learn how not to be who you've been before. And you have to give yourself permission. Just because you've been someone doesn't mean you're going to continue to be somebody. One of the biggest things, and I'll wrap up with this, one of the biggest things that helped me was, that allowed me to move forward, was understanding that whatever I did, literally 5 seconds ago, a second ago, I am no longer that person. In this instant, literally right now, you can make a very aggressive decision to be someone very different. And it's absolutely possible because you now have new information. You may have a new perspective on yourself. You may have a different level of tenacity with who you want to be, what you want to do. And you might have been the complete opposite. Literally a minute ago. Up until this moment, you might be someone that's just always notoriously late. Or that you know, like you can't even be counted on. But right now, you could make a decision because you realize who you've been doesn't dictate who you're going to be at all. Now, there are definitely programs, there's paradigms that you have, and it's not going to make it easy, but you can replace them. So if you want to switch up a habit, one of the key things, and I'll be quick with this, everything that you do especially things that happen subconsciously that it's like automatically happening, or certain thoughts, certain like key beliefs that we have, it's because they're charged with some type of emotion. So we have to decharge them, that habit, the perspective, and then replace it with something different. You do that, all of a sudden you start to become a different person. So going back to the attention aspect and how these things come together, once you have, the mind cannot function with chaos. As much as we want to be multitasking, that's not how the brain works. One thing at a time. It might seem like you can do multiple things at the same time, but the brain literally can't do that. So my, I guess, challenge for you, my suggestion, I encourage you to think about all the big picture things in your life. Create a priority, like literally know the priorities and what actions you have to take to fulfill those priorities. Once you know those, you literally make a list. Like, this is what's number one, number two, number three, number four. And when you know that, then when all of a sudden you're like, oh, but I could do this, or I could do this, or I could do this, you go, okay, well, let's go back to these priorities. No, okay, this, I gotta knock this out. Like, this is the number one. Everything else can wait. But you have to come to clear decisions. The less gray zone, the less ambiguity that you have in your life, the better you're gonna be able to knock things out. So some perspectives, some things that help me. Attention, guys, attention is more valuable than your time. You can be now living without a job. You have another 40, 50 hours of your life back. But if you can't direct your attention, you're just going to be a slave to something else. So you choose. You choose. Because if you aren't aware, then something else is directing you. So what's it going to be? Are you going to be the director of your attention, of your actions, and what follows? Or are you just going to keep running the script that has been molded without you even realizing it? The dark and scary truth is, right now, you maybe didn't even realize that you walked onto a set of a film and you've just been following the script that you never even really decided. So I challenge you to break the fourth wall, to be like, oh, hold on. I'm not actually in control of what I'm doing or even where my attention goes. Let me start to direct this movie. Because once you do start to direct it, then guess what? It'll actually start looking and probably feeling like a movie. And then you can genuinely be the protagonist. So guys, much love for all of you who are plugging in with me on a Friday night. I hope you got some type of value, some type of something just clicked with you. If it did, then feel free to share it with whoever. And I appreciate you guys. This recording will be on my YouTube. So you guys, if you want to go watch that, go ahead and do that. Much love, y'all. Again, every week we do these types